I want to start this section off by talking about a symbol known as the Caduceus, which you're seeing on the screen right now. The Caduceus is a staff with two serpents climbing up it, and oftentimes it is depicted with a bulb at the top, a bulbous kind of circular sphere, which represents the brain, the human brain. And then more often than not, you'll see the Caduceus with two angel wings coming out of it. Now, there are older depictions of the Caduceus where there aren't wings. Right now you're seeing a relatively modern version of the Caduceus. I'll show you ancient or older ones now, but more often than not, you'll see angel wings coming out of the top of the Caduceus. What this represents is the Christ consciousness taking flight. It represents your consciousness, the angel wings do, excuse me. It represents your consciousness ascending into the higher dimensions. What are wings, or what are feathers used for? Well, they're used to take flight, ladies and gentlemen, and that's exactly what happens when the Kundalini rises up the staff, which you see in the middle of the Caduceus. That's a staff that represents the spine, and the two snakes climbing up the staff, ladies and gentlemen, represent two particular pathways known as the Ida and the Pingala. These are positive and negative forces that create like an electrical conduit of sorts, or connection, that causes the Kundalini energy to rise up the Sushumna, which we already talked about in the prior segment, but I just wanted to kind of clarify things. There's three main channels, especially in Hindu mysticism. When it comes to the Kundalini, you have the Ida, the Pingala, and the Sushumna. The Sushumna is the main central channel that the Kundalini rises up, but it can only rise, ladies and gentlemen, when the negative and positive electrical forces of both of the Ida and the Pingala, those channels, create like a friction, a dynamic electricity polarity of sorts to cause the energy to rise up the Sushumna. So that's what you see on this depiction of the Caduceus. You see a main channel, a staff, which is the spine. You see two serpents, which represent the lunar and the solar forces, the Ida and the Pingala, ladies and gentlemen. These two channels that the Kundalini rise up. So there's three main channels. Again, there's the Ida, the Pingala, and the Sushumna. And again, these two snakes that you see on this symbol represent the Ida and the Pingala channels. Please look at the screen right now if you're listening to this for further verification. You really would do best by not only just listening to this video, but watching it, because I keep putting pictures and stuff and slides on the screen for simplicity, to make understanding this a little bit easier. So the Caduceus, ladies and gentlemen, is a really important, very valid symbol for so many different things. It's been adopted by mainstream medicine, and I don't even think most doctors have even the slightest iota of an idea of what it even represents. I really don't believe that most doctors have a solid foundation of understanding of why the Caduceus is used as a symbol of medicine. It's used as a symbol of medicine because Kundalini is the full expression of our health, ladies and gentlemen. You see, real true health is enlightenment, and enlightenment is Kundalini. We were designed to be enlightened on a consistent daily basis. We've fallen from that state of grace, and now we operate in what I call the land of the bottom feeder. So true health is the path of awakening these energies so that we can get back on track with what we were designed to experience, what we were designed to do. Our body and our mind was designed to be able to carry the electrical wattage of the Kundalini energy, ladies and gentlemen. And this symbol, the Caduceus, is a perfect rubric or example of this. Our body was designed to have these three channels activated. And as I mentioned in the prior segment, ladies and gentlemen, when these three channels are activated, your body becomes a fountain of youth, a self-recycling, self-maintaining system that pumps vital life force energy, the Christ oil, through the machine, our body, and keeps us enlightened. So there's so many things that could be said about the Caduceus. I don't want to stay on this too long because I don't want to be repetitive. The Caduceus is kind of like an evolved version of the Rod of Asclepius, which oftentimes you'll see on like veterinary clinics. You'll see on the wall of a certain veterinary clinics, you'll see a staff with one serpent rising up it. This is just a more primitive and less symbolically rich version of the Caduceus. Personally, I respect it. I think it's a little flawed, however, because in order for you to actually represent Kundalini properly, you kind of need to have both serpents on there, because there are three main channels: the Ida, the Pingala, and the Sushumna. And if you look at the Rod of Asclepius, it lacks that symbolism. I hope that makes sense. It does, however, if you choose not to overanalyze it, it is a very valid symbol of Kundalini, because you have a staff, a rod, which is symbolic of the spine, and then you have a snake wrapping around it. So, again, this is kind of also, ladies and gentlemen, the Rod of Asclepius is kind of a, I don't want to call it more advanced, but it's very similar to the Spear of Vel, which I'm going to show you on the screen right now, which is a staff, a rod, a golden rod, and at the tip of the rod there is a peacock feather looking almost point. This represents the spine, and the point at the end represents the awakened consciousness. So again, these symbols are not meant to be taken literally, ladies and gentlemen. They represent bigger things. As I mentioned in the prior segment, symbols lead in a particular direction. Your mind kind of has to fill in the blanks. Throughout history, things have been symbolized, things have been categorized as symbols because not only do they become very monumental for the subconscious, because again, the language of the subconscious is symbolism. Not all of it, but a large majority of the language of the subconscious is symbolism, ladies and gentlemen. But there were periods in time as well where information could be hidden out in plain sight through symbolism. I hope that makes sense. So if you put a symbol out there that only a few people understand, or only those who look to try to uncover what the symbol represents, then you can plaster things right out in front of everybody and it will go right over their heads. For instance, how many people drive by, a veterinary clinic and see the Rod of Asclepius and don't even put two and two together? How many people go to a doctor and see a doctor with a white coat on, with a Caduceus on it, and don't even put two and two together? So these symbols have monumental weight to them because they represent very profound things, ladies and gentlemen. Kundalini at one point in time was so profound and such a part of, it was so interwoven into the fabric of the human existence that somehow, some way, through all this time, the symbol of Kundalini is worn by the crest, or on it's worn by medical doctors, mainstream medical doctors. Somehow, some way, through all the trials and tribulations that have happened here in this dimension, the symbol that represents enlightenment is worn on the coat of the New World Order priests for the medical establishment, and they more often than not do not even know what it represents. I have yet to meet one doctor who knows what that symbol actually truly represents. And as I mentioned in the past segment, that symbol goes way back to ancient Sumer, ladies and gentlemen, and in my opinion, all the way back to Atlantis and beyond. This symbol represents the progression of energy through specific channels that are hardwired into our physiology. It is literally a basic symbolic blueprint of an energetic pathway in your body that keeps you alive. Or, like in today's world, it's not even active for the most part. We have a very small amount of Kundalini moving through us, ladies and gentlemen. So that wraps up this segment about the Caduceus, which again, and the Rod of Asclepius, which are both very, very valid symbols of enlightenment. And we also touched upon the spear. I mean, if you look at Poseidon's trident, ladies and gentlemen, that is Kundalini symbolism 101. And Poseidon, he reigned in the water, did he not? Well, what do the waters represent? The waters represent the subconscious, the deep waters. The subconscious is the deep aspects of your mind that you don't go swimming in. Most of us here in the Matrix, we have no connection to our subconscious mind, ladies and gentlemen. Poseidon is the god of the subconscious. He is Poseidon is an archetype for the individual who conquers or awakens and works with his or subconscious and awakens the power contained therein. The tip of the trident, folks, it has 3 points. Ida, Pingala, Sushumna, the 3 main channels that the Kundalini moves through. Now there's way more than 3 channels, ladies and gentlemen. There are multiple channels in our bodies that vital life force energy moves through. These are known as meridians. These are basically energy highways that subtle energy moves through. But within and without and around the cerebral spinal system, there's many channels, ladies and gentlemen. You have literal chakras on your fingers. Every little point of your body, every different minute particle that makes you who you are is a vast energetic portal. And you are contained, these portals are contained by your luminous cocoon, also known as your subtle organizing energy fields. You are literally like a walking vacuum contained within an energetic egg in a quantum vortex. And this Kundalini energy is designed by the Creator to move through us. And when it moves through us, it keeps us connected to the Creator, ladies and gentlemen. This is what the Gnostics called the spark. The Kundalini is the spark that can awaken and turn into a fire. It's kind of like that Tool song, Intention. Spark becomes a flame, flame becomes a fire. That is so absolutely true. The Kundalini is the Promethean fire that was stolen by the gods, by Prometheus, to be given to man. What do you think the movie The Matrix is about, ladies and gentlemen? The movie The Matrix is a modern, futuristic style, dystopian era representation of Gnostic truths. The red pill is literally the apple of Eden. Morpheus is the serpent, Lucifer. Eve leads Neo, who is Adam, to Morpheus, who is the serpent. And just like in the Bible, in the the story of the Garden of Eden, Trinity, in those movies, she was already conscious. She had already bitten the red pill, or the apple. She had eaten the apple already, just like in the Bible. So Trinity, who is already conscious, just like Eve, leads Adam, who is Neo, to Morpheus, who is the serpent. And if you even stop the film and look at Morpheus's black leather coat, it looks like snake skin, it looks like reptile skin, it looks like crocodile skin. There's a reason for this, ladies and gentlemen. It's pointing in the direction of the serpent. There's also a point where when Neo first meets Morpheus, when Morpheus turns around by that window in the building that he meets him in, there's a giant lightning bolt that strikes. This represents Prometheus, ladies and gentlemen. Electricity, thunder and lightning is also a very profound symbol of the awakened Uraeus, the awakened Kundalini. The Uraeus is what the Egyptians called the Kundalini energy, ladies and gentlemen. Every culture has a different name for this same energy, ladies and gentlemen. That's why all religions, for the most part, have a very similar motif, an underlying current. But again, Morpheus offers Adam the red pill, which is the apple of Eden. And he takes it, and he knows now what's good, what's bad, what's right, and what's wrong. You see, a lot of people saw that movie, and that went right over their head. That symbol alone, the symbolism in that 10-minute clip where he takes the red pill is profound. Is absolutely profound, ladies and gentlemen. The architect in that movie, The Matrix, that controls the regulation of the agents is the demiurge, the god of the Old Testament. Cosmic Creator, as the Greeks called him. The Archon. You've got to go back and watch these films, folks. It's crucial. So, the Caduceus is a profound symbol. The Rod of Asclepius is a profound symbol. The Trident that Poseidon held was a profound symbol leading in the direction of the Kundalini. Because the Kundalini, in the same way that Poseidon represents the subconscious, which is why he's depicted in the water, the depths, that which is beneath, and the subconscious lies behind your conscious mind. It's the deep parts of your consciousness, your mind that you don't have contact with anymore. It's also known as the abyss or hell. The true hell is not an evil place, ladies and gentlemen. It is the abyss, the darkness of your mind that you are no longer in contact with. The Kundalini, when it wakes up, it takes everything out of the subconscious and integrates it into your conscious mind, and that is when you experience true power. True power comes from the awakened Kundalini energy, ladies and gentlemen, and a huge part of the power that is reacquired from this energy moving is derived directly from the acquisition of the power of the subconscious mind coming into the overall picture, integrating with your conscious mind. This is so crucial to understand. Shiva is depicted, ladies and gentlemen, with a trident more often than not. Shiva also wears a goddamn cobra around his neck. This is all Kundalini symbolism, ladies and gentlemen. Even certain branches of Satanism use the Caduceus as a symbol, and not all forms of Satanism are evil, ladies and gentlemen. That's a whole different video for a different rant, but so many people are unable to realize that simple truth. We'll talk more about that in the near future, but some Luciferian or Satanistic groups use a modified Caduceus, where instead of calling the two energy pathways the Ida and the Pingala, they refer to it as Samael and Lilith. So there's so much that could be said about this, ladies and gentlemen. That symbol alone is so absolutely crucial. Go look in ancient Greece at all the symbolism, the statues with serpents. Kundalini is the energy, it is the fire of the gods, ladies and gentlemen. It is the fire of the gods. So let's wrap this segment up and let's move on to the next segment.